Welcome back. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about setters and getters. So when we talk about data hiding or data integrity, we touched on the subject of making our instance variables private so they can only be used inside of our class and not anywhere else. Now, we use setters and getter methods to set values to our instance variables and to retrieve those values, and also to expose the same values to other class. So the one thing that you absolutely have to take away from this presentation is that setters and getters, they expose the internals, so the states and properties of a class to other classes. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at some code. We're going to go ahead and open up our Java hiding project and continue working on that project. So we use setters to set values to our instance variables and getters to get those values and then expose them to other classes to use. Now you may ask, why do we care about setters and getters? Well, the reason why setters and getters are very important in Java, classes are supposed to be their own entities. They have to be these boxes, black boxes that have all of these things happening inside of them, that can do things, that they can have properties and states and so forth. But all of that has to be protected, because if we then allow other classes to come in and start changing, let's say, our private data or instance variables, that wouldn't be a good thing, because then it could pretty much destroy our system, our application that we're building. So by using setters and getters, we are guaranteeing that only these setters and getters are able to manipulate this data inside of our class, get that data, and then expose the data to other classes, as opposed to having classes directly going into our main class and change things. Okay, so how do you create getters, setters, and getters? Very simple. Setters and getters are just methods, functions. So what do? You set public. For setters, of course, they are of type void because they're not returning anything. So we said public void. We want to create a setter for the name instance variable. So you said void set name. Now we have to pass in a string type called my name. You can call whatever you want. In this case, we're going to just call my name and curly braces. And inside here, what we do, we are setting the name to whatever we get inside of our set name function, the parameter. So what we do then here, we say, well, name, which is this instance variable here that we're setting, is going to be equal to my name. My name, like that. Again, we're saying set name is the name of the function, a setter in this case, and we pass in a my name variable of type string, and then inside of that function we say my name, so we are calling this here my name instance variable, and we're setting it to be the my name that we get from the set name. And that's it. And we now do the getter function. What we do again, now we do public. Now we know this one here, it's a getter. That means we have to return something because we're getting something, and if we get something, in this case we want to return, give it back. So it has a return type, in this case of a string, because it is a string, right? As you can see here. So return type is a string, and the name is going to get name. And you say return, what are you going to return? Name. So it's going to return this name here, which is coincidentally is this name that we have set. Let's go ahead, save this, and go to our Java entry main entry point, and let's get rid of this for now. That was from previous. Now so let's go ahead and get rid of all of this here for this to work. So let's go ahead. Now let's say my cup dot set name. As you can see, there's that getter setter here function, and let's pass in a name. The name is going to be, let's say, Oliver. We can now call the get name inside of our println statement here in the show cup. So can say then my cup is plus, since this one returns a string, returns something, we can just call it get name. We save this and we go back here. So we create our object and then we're setting the name to Oliver. What we can do, we can just say my cup that show cup. It's going to go ahead and call the show cup, which inside of the show cup we're actually calling the get name, which is this getter function here inside. So let's save this and run and see what's going to happen. There you go, my cup is Oliver. Let's put a space here. Save again and run. My cup is Oliver. We don't have a lot of changes in terms of what the output is, as you can see. However, just the internal things that we're doing now, it's more object-oriented programming like. So we are now getting into the object-oriented programming and the benefits of it. That's the first one. So we have set name and get name. Let's do for our other properties there. Let's say then public set color. Again, I'm forgetting something here. You probably spot here. So we said void. So the color is also the string. I'm going to call my color. And then here I'm going to say color is equal to my color. Same thing I did there. I'm just setting this color here to be equal to whatever we pass into in the set method. And then of course I'm going to go public string return type get color. And then here let's just say return color. Okay, go again. I'm going to do the same thing. Public void set capacity. And this one here, it's an int type. So I say int my capacity. And what do I say here? I said capacity is equal to my capacity. And of course I need to get a getter. So I said public. It's a type of int, not a string. So public int get capacity. And it has to return capacity. So we did the same thing over and over again to different instance variables here. And as you can see, you may think, oh, this is just so much work. Why would I want to do that? But you understand that you want to do that because then you are able to only expose these variables here that we created inside of your class, and you're able to then get and set them inside of your class as opposed to having another class coming in and changing all these values here, because that could potentially be a bad idea. And the same thing on our show cup function, we can then say add here. We can say then keep calling this getter methods here. Let's get color. So say get color. It's a function. That's how we call it. And also let's get capacity. And of course here we have to set it, so we can say now my cup dot set color. I'm going to say it's blue, and then my cup dot set capacity. It's an integer, so I'm going to say 123. Notice all I have to do to see all of these statements here, that like I set a name, I set color, it's capacity, all I have to do is call show cup. If I save this and I run, I should say my cup is Oliver, blue, 123. Now you see how easy, how organized, how cleaner and intuitive it is now, as opposed to having to go ahead and create different function calls. It just put everything in one place. So the beauty here, as you can see, is that all as a programmer, so if I write a class and I give it to some other programmer to instantiate or to create objects off of that class that I wrote, all that other programmer can really needs to know is just the name of the class and a few things that that class exposes to the world that he can use. So he doesn't necessarily have to know, everything about this class internally, and create object and start accessing all of the properties and setting things and so forth. That is the beauty of object-oriented programming, is that it gives you that capability of doing such things. All right, you've now learned how to create setters and getters. Go ahead and explore, create your different classes. And it may sound a little bit overdoing right now, because you may think, wow, this is just so much. But the more we do this, the more we understand that, well, actually that makes sense.